How you doing, guys? I'm gonna warm up with some Bach, and then I'm gonna be joined by a very special guest today. Um, I'm just gonna play some Bach to warm up. Okay, sorry. There we go. Hey, Elliot. Yes, I'm ready anytime, whenever you're ready. It says my stream is crappy right now. A few seconds ago. Man, what's going on? Check the health of your internet connection. Change your ingest server. None of these work. Lower your bit rate. Let me just play it a little bit. See if it's really that slow. Let me just play it a little bit. See if it's really. I hate the sound of my voice. It seems like it's okay. I'm gonna just assume everything's okay. Cool. Welcome, everybody. Uh-oh. Hey, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm so glad to be here with you. I'm so glad to be here with you. My name is Nick, and I play viola. and I'm really happy to share some of my music today with you and do a little bit of a technical dive. I recorded a solo album a couple years ago, and I've since updated it for live performance using Ableton Live. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm really excited. I'd like this to be about you. So make sure you write in questions. I'll be checking them every time I can, in between pieces and things like that. And feel free to, to anything you want to know about this session. So I'm gonna just play for you some music first, and just so you can hear what I'm all about. And then after that, I'll do some screen sharing, and I'll show you how it all works. So before we begin, though, there is something you should know. Oh, thanks. There is something you should know, which is you can actually see the scores of what I'll be playing on Twitch in the panels where it says scores. Just click on that link and scroll down a little bit. If you read music, that might be interesting. And also, I'm getting messages that I'm like getting laggy video stream. So let me know if it becomes really bad, and I will try and tackle that. So, the first thing I'm going to do is play for you a tune called Viola Cake. It's one of my favorites, and it just goes between pretty and really ugly. And I hope you like it. So this is Viola Cake. That was called Viola Cake. Oh, sure. Yeah, it says my stream is kind of going in and out, so let me know if that's me. My name is Nick Ravel. I play viola, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. I'm sharing some of my music with you. That song was called Viola Cake, and a couple years ago I made an album because I was feeling like I really needed to do something creative with my my gear. I have all this gear, and I was like, what am I gonna do with it? So I made an album, and I made that album by improvising into a microphone, and then creating layers by listening back and improvising against what I just made. And so it kind of turned into this whole thing. I had all these tunes, and eventually I was actually on my honeymoon when I realized, oh, I should make an album. I have all of the music I need to do it. And then after the album was done, I was so happy. I was relieved, and I realized that I couldn't perform it because there were so many stacks of viola that there's just no way. I mean, I could make a backing track or something and just play a solo line, but that idea didn't really appeal to me. So what I really wanted to do was figure out a way to kind of create loops and live sampling and live processing. And that's what happened. I met up with a friend, Ramon Castillo, who is a professor at Berkeley in Boston. And he showed me how to do auto looping. There's a whole community within Ableton Live that does auto looping, which we'll get into today. Basically, it's hijacking your computer's built-in kind of MIDI computer, and it's allowing you to connect the two versions, the two views in Ableton: session view and arrangement view. So that's basically how this works. Is I've got a bunch of I've got these sessions all programmed so that it'll always loop and play back in the same way per session. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how that works today. So the next piece I'm going to do is called Pulse Noise, and I'm going to share my screen with you so you can see what is going on. So here's my session of Ableton Live. I guess the important thing to know while I play through this one is that this loops track here is where I collect all of the loops. Each one of these is a channel, and each channel can, the way I've set it up, can house 8 different clip slots. So there's actually 12 channels. They can all be playing or recording simultaneously. And then within each channel, there's 8 different options for recording material. So I'm going to just play through this. Next one's short. I'm going to play through this one, and you can watch these clip slots as they fill in with data. And then we're going to do a deep dive on this session, and I'll show you how it all works. So I guess just talking briefly about streaming, I am using Open Broadcast OBS. What's the S stand for? Software. There we go. OBS. And that's what's streaming all of my computer's video and audio to you guys. And so I'm actually using my phone as my camera. That's what you're seeing out of my phone. And I'm using an interface to collect the audio that's coming through my microphone. That's going to go into Ableton. Ableton's doing all of the looping and stuff. And then out of Ableton, I'm using a Mac-specific plugin, really. It's kind of like a plugin. It's called Soundflower, which is connecting the Ableton output with the OBS's input. So whatever is coming out of Ableton is going to go into OBS. I'm also talking to you through a microphone off camera that you can't see. So that is not going through Ableton. That's just going to OBS, again, via the Soundflower plugin. So the next up is Pulse Noise, and I'm going to leave my screen up. If you are just joining us, you can check out the scores. I've made a panel under my Twitch on my Twitch page, and there's a link to the scores if you want to see that. So this one's called Pulse Noise. That was Pulse Noise. Thanks, Elliot. I'm assuming that's a woe of... Oh, thank you. Thank you. That's sweet of you. Oh, very cool. Maddie Few writes, I'm interested to know if Nick has tried CliffX or the Boss RC505 or similar models. Also, I guess you are using foot switches to trigger the MIDI. Which ones are you using? Or how are you arming, triggering, recording the clips? Those are great questions, Maddie. Thank you. I'm actually not using any foot pedals. I'm using a foot pedal to turn my pages, but I'm not using any foot pedals to trigger the audio or the loops, actually. So we're going to go into that now. I'll show you how that works. I guess I want to just start out by saying Ableton is such a flexible program in terms of routing that you can actually get really creative with it. It's not just functional. It's like you can send things to places where sound usually doesn't get sent in DAWs. And so this is one very specific environment within Ableton that I'm using. And you can find out, like, you can find your own environment that works best for you. So where to begin? I already told you about the routing. So let me just show you. I'm using an Octacapture, which by the way is a fantastic interface. It's by Roland. I know, Roland is not really much of a interface name brand, but it's amazing. The Octacapture has 8 built-in preamps. It's super portable. It's got, the best part though, is it's got 8 separately routable outputs. So you can play octaphonic music live. There's like a routing matrix thing that you can do inside the interface on your computer. And so normally when I do a live show with this music, I set my audio, my input device to the Octacapture, and I set my output device also to the Octacapture. But you'll notice here it's Octaflower. So what I've done is I've created an aggregate device, which basically, I think it's specific to the Mac. I'm not sure how it would work on the PC, but the PC, I believe, has software built in that can route internal digital audio to programs, but the Mac doesn't have that built in. So Mac users can do Soundflower or Loopback or Audio, what is it called? Audio Grab or Audio Catch or something like that. There's a few of them. Soundflower is free. It works. It's not exactly the most user-friendly because there's no like visual map. You can't really see where audio is going. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt. But basically what the aggregate device does is it takes all of your outputs on your interface and it just adds 2 more. So like I can actually show you, I think. Octaflower 2-channel. So you can see here that these 2 things are being used, Octacapture and Soundflower. And the dark yellow is my Octacapture. Those are the inputs. And there's 2 inputs for Soundflower as well. And the outputs 1 through 10 are Octacapture, 11 and 12 are Soundflower. So if we go back into Ableton now, you can see I'm using 12 outputs. The 10 of the Octacapture plus the 2 of the Soundflower. And you'll see here my master out is Soundflower. It's 11 and 12. So that means that OBS, Open Broadcast System software, is receiving kind of just internal audio. So it's like a virtual patch panel. Yeah, pretty much. I like Loopback. Yeah, okay, Loopb is a Windows equivalent. Good. I think I would actually prefer Loopback as opposed to Soundflower because it has the visual routing, so you can see in the program like things being connected via digital wires. The problem is it's not free. I don't think it's free. Soundflower is free, and so that's how I'm routing right now. The Q out is channels 1 and 2, so that means that my headphones are plugged into the interface's headphone port, and that is hardwired to be channel 1 and 2. So what I'm receiving in my headphones is the master out. Let's close this for a second. This is my headphone track here. You can see it's receiving audio from master. So everything that's getting sent to here, there's going to be, I'm going to grab that send over here in this track. Then you can see audio out to channels 1 and 2. So remember that the master out is 1112. If I put this to out 1 and 2, it's not going to be receiving that. It'll be receiving, this headphone track will be receiving everything that the master is, plus my click track. So I'm hearing a click track. That's how I'm staying, you know, with the tune. If I didn't have a click track, it would be impossible. You're hearing a loop of my voice right now. Is anybody else hearing a loop of my voice right now? I'm seeing messages from Facebook too, by the way. So let me know if that's a thing on Facebook, and I'll try and. No, on Twitch it's fine. Okay. Sorry, Trevor. I'm not sure. Maybe Facebook. Maybe I'm screwing it up on Facebook. I don't know. Anyway. So the click track, yes, I'm receiving click track to my ears. You're not hearing that. If I routed this to 11 or 12, then it would get sent to you all as well, which I don't want. Also, because headphone track is receiving audio from master track, if I set the output of this to 11 and 12, we would create a horrible, deafening feedback loop because it's getting sent over and over again through each other, and it would be a disaster. So I'm not going to do that to you. I don't want to do that to you. That's essentially the routing. So let's take a look at the. I'm reading comments. Maddie asks, "Are you able to do totally improvised performances with this setup?" So. Yes and no. Yes, because the way this works is it's basically just a frame. When I open the session, there's no audio data unless I have like a playback track somewhere in the session. But in terms of the loops, there's no audio data preloaded. So that means that I can fill in the audio, I can fill in the loops with whatever I want to. In fact, it's been in the back of my head to make a really simple session with the structure of the loops and like write a bunch of different ideas or pieces for the same session. But I haven't done that yet because I haven't had time. So real quick, let's take a look at how this works. So here's arrangement view and here's session view. And the way Ramon has taught me to use this is it allows me to connect the two panels. So this is my control track. This is just a MIDI effect rack with a bunch of chains added. Okay, so I could just drag this in right here. I would expand it, and then I could create a chain. I don't really want to make this over again. I have a template, so I never have to do this over again, but every one of these, let's get rid of this. Every one of these channels and clip slots is linked to a note right here in this MIDI effect rack. So you can see clip 1, 1 corresponds with 1, 1 over here, channel 1, clip 1. Clip 1, 2 goes to here, 1, 2. And so 1, 3, 1, 4, etc. 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, etc., etc. So this whole thing doesn't actually do anything really. It just labels them, and it primes the control track in the other view to be able to control when things happen in here. So if I go to, what's the best way of explaining this? If I go to my MIDI, you can see that I have this IAC driver enabled. And what that does is it's basically like the Mac's built-in MIDI keyboard. And so what I can do is now I can create this MIDI track here. Let's make this a little bigger so you can see it. This is just a MIDI track, and these green bars are just MIDI clips. I could insert, how do I insert a MIDI clip? I don't actually change any of these anymore. Insert MIDI clip. So you see I've just inserted a MIDI clip. The MIDI clip by itself doesn't do anything. But if you zoom in on them, now we get to kind of the magic of this thing, which is this is the same thing that we were seeing over here when this control track. So all of these notes here appear in this. Where does it go? Oh, please. There we go. Here. They're the same notes. They correspond. And they've already been labeled. So the first thing that you'll notice is there's an actual MIDI note on C minus 2 octaves. And that corresponds with clip 1-1. So when the playhead passes over this MIDI note, it activates clip slot 1-1. The first time a clip slot is activated, the behavior is to record. You see that all of these are record enabled. They're also all grouped in this loops channel group. The second time a clip slot is activated, let's check out this one. Well, okay, let me change it. Let's pretend that there's another green bar right here, and it's the exact same thing. It's clip 1-1. That means that clip 1-1, after it passes the second green bar, will stop recording and play back immediately. And that will just keep on looping. It'll loop and loop and loop, because when we go to the session view, that's what this view is designed for. It's designed for things to be looped. You know, you don't have to, the relationship between the tracks is not fixed. Whereas here, if I had a bunch of audio data, you know, let's say these are all audio tracks and I've recorded various things, the time relationship between those things, unless I move them, is always the same, right? The playhead goes from left to right, and any audio that is in here is played where it lies. The third thing that happens is if it receives the same thing, like clip 1-1, if there's a third one, it just means it starts the loop over again. So that means that I don't have to wait for the loop to finish before I can reuse it. And so you might be wondering, how do you stop it? Well, I've included a stop button for each of these channels. So that's what this is here. It's a stop 1 note. It's A, and you can see over here on the control track that stop 1 is on A. So there's a couple looping rules. You can't record onto multiple clip slots on the same track at the same time. And I believe you can't play multiple clip slots on the same track at the same time. But you can record onto multiple channels and play back on multiple channels at the same time. So that involves a little bit of like mental organization as you're setting up the session. Okay, I'm seeing some questions. Let me go back to the questions. How does the activation happen? Just regular MIDI mapping. Good question. That's the bit I forgot. So yes, that is the secret to all of this. Every one of these notes is mapped onto every one of these clip slots via the MIDI map. So you can see every single one of them is mapped onto a note, and those notes are basically the IAC driver that I was talking about, the built-in MIDI keyboard. And I programmed these with like a little 2-octave MIDI keyboard that I could play the notes on. And it was a pain in the butt. I don't want to do that again. I don't have to do that again because I have a template saved. So anytime I want to make another one of these, this whole thing is set up already, and I don't have to do that. Also, I am totally happy to send the template to anybody that wants to try something like this. In fact, and I could even help you set it up if that's something that you're interested in. The setup, I'm not gonna lie, the setup is a huge pain in the ass. But once it's done, it's done. And so the advantage to this way of working is I just play my sheet music in this performance, and I can trust. I'm still learning how to trust the computer 100%, because especially when you get in front of an audience, you really don't want your computer to do something stupid. And pretty much every show, I've had some little thing happen. Like originally, I didn't have an audio track for the click. Now it's an actual recorded. Like I have audio here. At first, I was like turning on and off the click track, and sometimes I would forget, and then I'd have to start over, and other times I wouldn't be in the right thing. So there's a bit of a learning curve, but now that I know how to do it, I've pretty much become comfortable doing this. So, Elliot, maybe you guys could just send me a whisper on Twitch. Whoever wants that, let's figure that out later. Well, there's an easier way to do that. So that's pretty much how it works. Every clip, every channel behaves the same way in terms of the rules of first time that MIDI node is activated, it records. The second time it plays back, and the third time it restarts. And then whenever there's a stop on that channel, it stops the whole channel. And then you can restart anytime you want, just depending on where you program it. I have my session programmed or set to a resolution of a 30-second note. Both, and so the way it works is you can see that this MIDI clip is actually not on bar 4. It's on the 30-second note right before bar 4. So the confusing part about writing for this way is that you have to do a little bit of math. You have to put in the MIDI note, a 30-second note before the thing that you want to happen. So I want this to activate on bar 4. I've put it in a 30-second note before. This first clip is only a beat long. Da, 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 da. In fact, let's just hear that. This is just the first little clip. That's how long that is, and it took 2 messages to happen. The second one is... I don't need to do that. I need to do this. The second one is... clip 2-1. That makes sense. That's pretty smart. Clip 2-1, and then that's stop 2. So this one is only... it's not even a beat long. Clip 2-1. Let's see what that sounds like. That's... that's what that sound is. That's what that clip slot is. Blah, blah. So anyway, I'm going to zoom out, and you can see the madness that was programming this session. Looks okay. Okay, there's some green. Uh-oh, it's getting dense. There's a lot of green bars, and every single one of these corresponds to the sheet music that I have laid out. I know exactly, I knew kind of how I wanted it to go based on the original recording on the album. And so I programmed everything to basically mimic the album and following the rules and the limitations within this auto looping environment. Cool. I'm happy to arrange a way for you all to get this template. So then within, yeah, I know, I'm not gonna lie, I did go crazy. I went a little bit insane, and yes, that's a great summary. I don't deserve any of the credit for setting this up because it was spoon-fed to me by Ramon Castillo, who's got a group called Art of the Loop. And actually, believe it or not, the auto looping community has taken this to levels far beyond what I am doing. They have basically like taken over their computer to do stuff within there. I don't know exactly what it is, but the stuff that I'm showing you, as far as the auto looper community is concerned, is rather basic, which is alarming. It's scary. So why don't I stop talking there? I'm starting to get annoyed at the sound of my own voice. Let's move on to another tune. Does that sound good? Oh, there it is. Boom. Elliot. Also, I never ever save these sessions because if I do, all of these clip slots will get saved. And then the next time, if I don't see that there's clip slots here and I go to play, it won't record, it'll just play what I've played before, and I'll get really freaked out. It's confusing. I feel like I'm having a stroke when that happens. So that's not good. Let's go on to Megablip. Don't save. Um, Zach, that's a great question. Latency, is it an issue? I don't know how Ableton does it, but their latency is so low. I also have um, my buffer size down to 128. I can almost get 64, but every once in a while there's a blip. So 128, and I'm pretty much only using stock Ableton plugins. I did notice that there were some dynamic equalization plugins that I was using. Tokyo Dawn Labs has a great free plugin. You can go get it right now. And that adds a little bit of latency. What else was I using? But anyway, basically, no, it actually isn't much of an issue. And I'm monitoring the output of Ableton in my headphones. It's like a little bit of I had to get used to, it's just more of a sound. It's like a feel thing. It does not exactly when I play it. So there is a little bit of a discrepancy, but most of the time, it's really pretty much right on. Okay, Mega Blip. I think I'm just gonna play this one, and we can check out how this works. There's one thing that I really want to show you guys, which is processing and the vocoder. I'll show you how the vocoder works after we play it. So let me open this up. And again, you can decide if you want to read the score if you're a music reader, or just check out these clip slots as they fill in. It's kind of fun to see which ones are playing. And anything else? Any other questions before I jump into this one? By the way, I keep on getting error or warning messages. Is my stream like laggy? Is it really jittery? I'm a little concerned it's not so smooth. All right, no, it's good. It's great. Thank you guys. So here's Mega Blip. I will say before I play it that it was inspired by one of my favorite Super Nintendo video game songs. The game was Gradius 3. It's this super chunky little space auto-scroller shooter. You shoot the aliens. And it had such good music jammed into those 30-second loops. I loved it. It made you feel like you were in space. So I made a whole piece, which is also on my album. And there's a link to my album in the panels if you'd like to check that out on your own time. The whole thing is on YouTube, so you can just listen to it. So anyway, this is Mega Blip. Mega Blip. That one's fun to play. It's really a lot of fun to play, but I gotta be careful in that beginning section. It's real tough to get those loops right in place. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. Whew. QBRD knows the Gradius 3. Do you know which song that was from? Just curious. It's pretty deep in there. This is really just a little bit that I used. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you. Whew. Gotta get my head together here. I got lost in the music for a second. I feel like there was a question that I was trying to answer. Oh, is that bass coming from the viola? Great question. The nice part about having some audio gear, I have a few microphones. When I made this, I had a couple microphones and a pretty like entry level. I had a Scarlett, what was it called? A Scarlett, not the 2i2, but the one with the 4 inputs. I can't remember what that's called. I called it Mama Scarlett because I had the baby one too. I had the 2i2 and then the 4 one. And so I just had a couple of microphones, and the nice thing about having gear is that you don't have to pay for studio session time. You can just make shit up. You can just do whatever you want to do with your microphones, and it can take forever. And that's okay if you're invested in the process and you like the process. I loved the process. So pretty much all the songs from my album were recorded in my parents' basement. It was like they had a drop ceiling and thick carpet, and I just hung some blankets on the walls, and it was dead. There was no reverberation in there. Not great actually for recording strings, but it did the trick. And so when I was doing Mega Blip, I knew that I wanted bass, because that's one drawback of trying to do all this music with just the viola, is that the bass can suffer. And so I actually did record that bass sound that you heard on the viola, and then I processed the hell out of it. I dropped it by an octave in an aux send channel. So I had the original, and I did a pre-filled fader send, which means that, I don't know if you know how sends work, but basically you have your audio track. Actually, I'll show you here. Oops. So let's close this. Let's open this. This is what I wanted to talk about anyway. Real quick, these blue tracks here, they correspond with the yellow tracks. So you'll see on this channel 1, the audio is coming from viola. All of the loop tracks, the audio is coming from viola. That's my viola in track. They're sending not to master, but their corresponding audio tracks, which is over here. And the reason I've done this is because Ramon told me to do it this way. That's pretty much the reason why I did it. I don't know why you can't really automate things on here. Oh, this shouldn't be there. Let's fix that later. So anyway, the corresponding audio tracks, this is where I do my effects sends and my automation for the most part. Anything that I do on this group track, like these are your sends to these effect tracks over here. So let's see what, there's a little bit of send on the D track, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's just some reverb, it seems like. So because it's on the group track, all of these audio channels within that group are going to do this globally. They're going to have this much send, minus 27.7 dB, it's down there, you can see, to that aux channel. Same with all the other ones. So these are all reverbs. It's a very reverby heavy track. And then if you do things individually on these tracks, it won't affect the group, it'll just affect that one channel. So C, what is C? C is the vocoder. Let's get to that in a second. What do I have here anyway? I don't really remember what these are. There's reverb, that's a long one. That's 12.3 seconds tail on that reverb. Delay, there was some delay in that middle part. I think it's like bar 40 something. There you go. And then vocoder, more reverb, more reverb, more reverb. Guess I love my reverbs. So what happens here in the send stuff is you have the channel coming in, the audio coming into the channel. Does whatever effects you have on here. I don't have any effects on this channel by itself. And then that will get sent to, well, in this case, it gets sent to audio, which gets sent to master. So essentially, this is getting sent to master. But because there's this send on here, however much send you have on your knob will get sent to this extra track here, which is called in Ableton land, it's called a return track. In a lot of other DAWs, it's called an aux track or an auxiliary track. It's something that will not affect the dry sound, meaning this sound will go to master track untouched. Whatever sound gets sent here will get added to that dry sound. So the difference is if I put an effect here on one of these return tracks and I send it, those two get mixed together by the time they get to master. If I just have the effect on the audio track itself, the sound that reaches the master will be going through that plugin and will get transformed within the plugin, thus resulting in a different sound that gets to the master. So originally, the reason I have so many reverbs is originally I had it on my viola in track. I had a tiny reverb, I had a medium reverb, and I had a kind of a hall, like a longer reverb. I like to mix them together. The problem with doing that is that, sure, it sounded nice on the viola track, but once I started panning these audio tracks, it's like all that reverb sound got squashed into one of the channels, like the right channel or the left channel, and it started sounding really strange and artificial. So then I decided, like, let me move all the reverbs to their own their own return tracks and send the audio to it. So the viola track has the same amount of send to these reverb channels as does the audio group over here. So that basically the sound is the same. I wanted them to be the same. I wanted to feel like a chamber music kind of experience with this weird electronic vibe to it. So almost there. Sorry, a lot of talking. Going back to the viola, the bass thing. I had my viola track when I was recording Megablip in my mom's basement. I did the rhythm, da 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 da, and then I had it on a pre-fader send to an aux track. On that aux track, I had a -1 octave, and I duplicated that. So I had two aux tracks. One was -1 octave, the other was -2 octaves, and I was playing around with the tone and the formants. I don't really know much about formants. I just know they change like how where the harmonics lie. Maybe I'm not really sure what they do, but they change the sound. And then I pretty much lowered the original viola track volume. So what you're hearing is an affected viola sound. That's what that bass is. And it took a long time, but it was really fun to get that. So that was the whole point of that incredibly long spiel. Let's check the comments here. Yes, Maddie, the 2i2 is great. It's portable. It can do a stereo setup. It can do a single setup. It's just so easy to use. Plug and play. It's great. You guys want to know about the vocoder? This is my favorite part about this tune is the vocoder. I'm not gonna lie, I don't really know a lot about vocoders. I looked up a YouTube tutorial on how to do it, just bare basics. So let's go to the vocoder. So this works by what a vocoder is, to the best of my knowledge. It's a MIDI. It's an effect that combines MIDI note data with audio signal to basically map that audio signal onto those MIDI notes. So let me show you what I mean. Here's my MIDI data track that sends to the vocoder. So you can see, yeah, that's just going to be doubled for a second. Okay. So you can see here at bar, whatever that is, 12, I've started writing in some MIDI notes. F sharp, G, A, and B on this channel. This channel doesn't actually make any sound on its own. What it does is it sends that MIDI data to this plugin here. This is the vocoder. So you can see it's receiving my audio signal, and it's mapping not only the volume but the tone. So these are frequency bands, and you can change the number of bands. Now there's more bands. I think the more bands you use, the more CPU it uses up. So I left it at 20. And basically it maps this signal onto these MIDI notes, which I just think is the coolest thing, because that means that me with my viola and my one note that I can basically play at once is no longer limited to one note. I can send it to a whole bunch of things. And the resulting pitch are these notes here. So basically, I kind of lied. This is a MIDI, like a frequency, what's it called? Like a instrument, a digital instrument. So you can change the shape of the waveform. You can combine two oscillators. There's noise functions, panning, level, blah, blah, blah. This is kind of the basic sound that gets sent from the MIDI track to the vocoder. And so the vocoder matches the volume and the tone onto that basic sound. So I've tried to make this basic sound here kind of in line with my viola tone. Pretty buzzy and a little bit of nasal quality to it. It's not a smooth sound at all. So when I was at the beginning, I was only playing one note, but there was this extra note. So the vocoder starts right away. I'm gonna just delete the first let's delete the first loop. And we'll just go from the beginning, and you can see the vocoder. You can hear the vocoder work. So where is the best? There it is. And I can change pitch. And it follows the tone and all that kind of stuff. Wait for it. There we go. Okay, sorry. I'm having a little fun here. So that's how a vocoder works, and it's throughout the whole piece. It's throughout the whole piece. All right, let's check out the questions. No other questions. Guys, I'm happy to keep talking about this one, or we can move on to another one. So back to the improv, actually addressing the improv thing, like in terms of the structure of how all the loops are done, the structure is fixed, 100% fixed. The clip slots will record and play back always in the same spot. The only thing that I can change is the tempo. So if I change the tempo, it'll change, it'll just change the speed of the song, and I'll hear that the click will change as well according to the tempo. I always try and build in sections within the piece that involve improvisation, and usually I'll have a special little click sound like a cowbell to alert me that the new section is coming up, because sometimes when I'm improvising, I'm not really keeping track of the bars. So that's the improv thing. Do I have any EQs on the individual tracks in the looping setup? All the layers seem very distinct and clear and never muddy. Did the bar of 6 affect things? Oh yeah, okay, so let's do the bar of 6 first because it's easier. Where is that bar of 6? There it is. Let me put this viola down so I can zoom in properly. So you can see at the top here. How do you zoom in? There we go. I'm normally in 5/4, but at 41 I have a time change. So basically it's just an extra beat here, and the click, I made the click, they just wrote in a MIDI track and an instrument, and that's the click, so I just made sure to include an extra bar there. And that's how that goes. EQ on individual tracks. Let's find out. I don't know. So on the viola in track, I have this. This is the one non-stock plugin I have. It's a Scheps 73 from Waves. I'm just using it. All of these, it's basically an equalizer. All of these are turned off except for the preamp. The preamp just adds a little harmonic content, makes it a little sparklier. Waves Scheps 73 is a super cool plugin. This is the mono version. There's a stereo version too. It has even more functionality to it. It's got a link in and out, so like as you move the input, the output moves to basically compensate for the volume. So that's pretty cool. It adds a little bit of latency. 65 samples, in this case it's 1.4 milliseconds, which is not a huge amount, but when you're trying to play exactly with the click can make a difference. This is my viola EQ. I'm using a DPA Devote 4099 as my instrument mic. It's a really great mic. I've used it for actual recordings, but it's great for live performance. The only problem is it's got a strong proximity effect, which is where the microphone, condenser microphone, is really close to the source. It'll pick up and basically amplify bass frequency. So even though it's a viola, if I need all of this low shelf to make it sound more natural. If I didn't have it, it would sound really bulky and fat, and I kind of wanted it to sound more just like a regular viola. Also, there's a couple scoops that I did. This thing here is a multi-band dynamics. I'm not using the middle band, but I am using the high frequency band, which is just like for really sharp, high frequency sounds. A lot of bow scraping or pizzicato or chopping starts to get a little grating on the ear. So everything that goes to loop will pass through these effects first, and so I'm affecting globally everything that gets recorded. Let's check out the audio tracks to see if I don't remember what effects I have. There's nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. I don't think I have anything. The only thing that really changes is the panning. And I've automated some volume. Pretty much all the volumes are automated, but like, I don't know what A3 is right now, but that's all the way to the left. That's all the way to the right. But I didn't really do a ton of processing on this one, actually. It's mostly in the composition, and the vocoder adds a kind of sound to it as well. So that's that. DPA mics rule. Oh, yeah. Okay, first of all, Marc Rebillet is unbelievable. I just discovered him like 2 weeks ago. Someone shared it with me. Holy crap, that dude is talented. It was so amazing. I actually got depressed watching it. I've just been scrolling through. Totally not at all classroom appropriate or family friendly. Not even a little bit. But it's really amazing. I highly recommend everybody check out Rebillet. And yes, he loops everything live. All of the stuff he creates is live. It's absolutely incredible. So it's now been an hour but plus. Yeah. Oh, geez, Elliot, thank you. You guys have an incredible teacher. I hope you are aware of that. Elliot is the man, and you guys are well taken care of in this class. So give him some love if you can. Thanks, Zach. If you can, donate to his channel. I'm not an affiliate on Twitch yet, but I have a couple donate buttons. Whoops, on in my panels if you're so inclined. But I'm gonna play one more for you. This one's really fun. It's called Fly Trap. It's actually the first one I made in the Ableton Auto Looper, and it's got a beat. It's fun. It's got some drums. And anything else before I play this? I don't think so. I think let's just do it. You guys, thank you so much for listening to me blab for a long time. I'm not used to talking that much, but this is really fun for me. I'm so glad to be able to share my music with you. Thanks to Elliot. Thanks to all you guys for your support. And cool. Take it easy, guys. Thanks so much. I'm gonna play this tune and then happy to answer more questions or even play some more if you'd like. So this is Fly Trap. Thanks, everybody. Flytrap, everybody. Whew. I forget to breathe in that one. I'm so excited I forget to breathe. Thank you all. That was so much fun. Ugh. I don't know what to do now. Somebody tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. You guys have any questions? I'm happy to field some if you'd like. Thanks, everybody. You guys have been an amazing audience. Thank you so much for your support, your positive energy. I hope you're all doing so well in this really strange time, and I hope everyone's hanging in there. Another tune. That was my trump card. That was the exciting one. Oh, okay, I can play this one. Oh, thanks, Elliot. That heart button. Okay, let's get out of well, I'll keep session view open. Why not? I'm gonna do one by Andy Akiho. Thanks, Heather. Andy Akiho. Amazing composer. Oh, thanks, Colin. Colin, good to see you. How are you, man? Oh God, did I write the pieces and then transcribe them into the score form? The way I wrote these was so it was so time intensive. I'm not sure I could recommend it to anybody. So the full story, I'll try and make it short, but the full story is Nate Schramm and Hamilton Berry, who are both amazing musicians and also friends with Elliot, started this composers collective for basically for performers. I mean, we're all just making music for fun. Strict deadlines, got to submit something every 2 weeks, whether it's a recording or a score, a bit of a score, it doesn't have to be a full thing, and there's no quality control. The only rule was the 2-week submission, and if you didn't submit, you get a strike. So I discovered during that time that the easiest way for me to create music, I wasn't really writing music, I was improvising music into microphones and just layering them. And so I'd have these kind of fixed ideas through layering, and I would sometimes chop up the material and move it around until I had something that I really liked. So the process for making the album was, transcribe by hand the stuff that I played onto a piece of paper, and then set up a session and record it again so that the recording quality and maybe the production value was a little higher. I actually like some of the original versions better than on the album, just because they had that kind of in the moment spontaneity, that sort of sparkle of life that some of the really some of the recorded ones, although I think they sound really good, I'm happy with them, very proud of them, but just having had that original experience versus the recorded experience, it's different. They have different qualities to them. Some of the re-records are pretty much exactly the same as the originals, and some are a little different. Some are a little longer, added sections or whatever. And then since I had those transcriptions, it was a little bit easier to make these. The only complicated part was doing the math of where does that green bar go to make this thing happen, and how long, and also like how do I write this? If I were to go back into some of those control tracks and check it out, I mean this one's really simple. It's only a few here and there, but like on Pulse Noise or even Megablip, I have no idea what those things do anymore. I don't know where they are. If I ever publish these, I will make a score and I will figure it out so that everybody can see exactly where things are, where things are going. You can see though in some of the later pieces, like the Megablip on the sheet music, it shows you where things are recording, so that I know to be like on point for those bits. Yep. Yes, that was for Flytrap was not for Flytrap was actually a new composition. It's not on the album. It's not been studio recorded. It's just for this live performance version. But pretty much all the other ones were for D Snakes at some point. Marc Rebillet is an amazing musician that does live. He does live looping and improvising beats and harmonies and lyrics. Oh, thanks, Zach. Take care. Yeah, just check out that link. It's he's quite a character. I wouldn't watch it with your family or your students, but okay. So another tune. Play this tune by Andy Akiho. This one's super chill. I really like it. I don't know what's cool to show. Maybe I don't know. I feel like this is boring, but here we go. We'll just do this one. I think if I click here, you can see the sound go through. Hopefully. Oh, cool. I got some kind of award or something from getting 100 messages. There we go. Andy Akiho's Kara Kurenai, which I've arranged for Auto Looper. Oh no! I played the wrong note at the end. I forgot. Sometimes I used to not tune my string down, but this time I tuned it down, so I played a half step too low. That's okay. I think it's kind of fun that way. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm out of tunes. I'm not gonna play any more tunes because the rest of them. There's only one more, and it's a slow kind of downer one. So no more music. But do you guys have any questions? Elliot, thanks so much. This is super fun, man. I really appreciate it. Elliot Cole, everybody. All right, and I'm gonna hang around for just another minute, just in case anybody has any questions. And if not, thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Take it easy. Be well. Yes, I am going to be in touch with Elliot about the template. And probably what'll happen is I'll just put it in a Google Drive folder, and Elliot can. Okay, cool. Yeah, and send me a DM. Okay, I'll put it on a Google Drive, and then just get in touch with me. I think a whisper on Twitch is probably the easiest way to do it. And so I'll work on that in the next couple days for you. All right. Okay, I'll do both. I'll send it to Elliot, and I'll also take messages and direct you accordingly. All right, take care, guys. I'm going to sign off. Take it easy, everybody.